This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Everyone, and welcome to Southern Cross News. We begin tonight with speculation that the embattled Tasmanian State League is set to be scrapped at the end of the 2018 season, making way for a new football model for the state. Our sports reporter Tom Cooper has been following today's development and joins us now live. Good evening, Tom. This is pretty shocking news if it's true.
Good evening, Joe. It certainly is, and it's a rumour that's quickly gathering legs and, like you said, massive news if true. Now, we understand, based on several sources, that the AFL is seriously considering scrapping the State League model, which would obviously have a huge impact on Tasmanian football as a whole. Now, it follows AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan's visit last month, during which he announced the formation of a steering committee tasked with making decisions on the future of the game here in the state. Now, it's no secret the TSL has faced some big issues in recent times, with Burnie and Devonport folding from the league due to lack of player numbers, prompting calls to get rid of the competition and go back to a north-south regional model, while the idea of a Tasmanian side entering the NEAFL or returning into the VFL are also being considered by the committee. New AFL Tasmania CEO Tricia Squires was unavailable for comment today, but the AFL did offer up a statement claiming no decisions have been made on any potential restructure of talent or pathways or competitions, and the steering committee is working through many options with a due date of June 30. But the interesting thing is at this stage today, the AFL Tas could not positively rule out the possibility of Tasmania losing its statewide competition. Gillon McLachlan was supposed to return to the state this Saturday, but that visit has now been postponed indefinitely. And Joe, hopefully we can shed some more light on it all in the coming days. Indeed.
Thank you very much for that report, Tom Cooper. Environmentalists are considering the scope of appeal after their case against Tassal's Hampton Bay fish farm was rejected. Court action was launched following an approval by the Federal Environment Minister with claims of environmental and legal oversight.
Not the outcome environmentalists were hoping for. Bob Brown spearheading the case against Tassal's Hampton Bay salmon farm, today rejected in the federal court.
We're not simply conceding that a right judgment has been made here or one that we should accept. We don't.
Developer Graham Wood and the Bob Brown Foundation unsuccessfully arguing against its approval, claiming the minister breached the Environmental Act by not ensuring proper protection for the endangered southern right whale, not considering the visual impact to the World Heritage Site on Maria Island, and failing to give the public procedural fairness during the approval process.
Didn't contain adequate whale protection measures is not answered in this judgment. It should have been there, it's not, and I can't see where the judge has justified that omission.
In his judgment, Justice Duncan Kerr rejected all three grounds, accepting the minister's opinion the visual impact was low due to its 7-kilometre distance from Maria Island, noting Tassal's proposal did incorporate an action with K-Grid technology to reduce the entanglement of whales.
Tassal has welcomed today's judgment in a statement saying it brings certainty for East Coast employees. The company says it has extensive environmental monitoring in place, reiterating its sustainability.
Tassal is as sustainable as I am athletic. It's a company which is talking about sustaining its profit line when it says that.
A judgment delivered, but a case possibly not over. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
The widow of a Queenstown miner killed in a mud rush at the Mount Lyell copper mine has broken down outside court this afternoon. Sandra Welsh gave evidence at an inquest into 3 deaths at the mine in 2013 and 14. Her husband, Michael Welsh, known as Digger, died in a mudslide 6 weeks after a double fatality at the site.
We're hoping for the right answers and justice this time. No one should go to work and not come home.
Earlier, the inquest heard from engineers who explained inadequacies of the wooden platform which Craig Gleeson and Alastair Lucas were working on. The platform collapsed, leading to their deaths. The use of King Billy pine was criticised as being inappropriate material. Following months of pressure from union groups, the state government says it will offer better salary packages to entice emergency department specialist staff to work at the Launceston General Hospital. But Labor is sceptical of the plan, saying no specific details have been released.
On the road, commencing a recruitment drive for new health professionals. The state government will soon meet with employees and unions across the state to determine where to place an additional 42 paramedics.
We believe that this will provide a safer ambulance service, a more responsive ambulance service, and an ability for us to meet with the needs of the community, particularly through 000 calls.
The Health Minister wants to target communities with the most need first, the initial round of new paramedics to be recruited by the middle of the year. But one of the main recruitment issues causing pressure on our health system is at the Launceston General Hospital. The number of emergency department specialists there has rapidly declined, and unless more are recruited, the facility won't be able to train new registrars from next year.
I can announce today as well that we've had quite an important breakthrough. We've been able to secure more attractive salary arrangements to recruit and also to retain existing staff.
The Minister won't say exactly how much more specialists will be paid, except that it's
a significant improvement.
He's got a very short period of time to turn this around. He's failed to act. I'm very fearful about what this means for training accreditation at the Launceston Hospital in 2019.
Labor again putting pressure on the state government to make surgical abortions a public procedure, following claims some terminations are being performed at the Royal Hobart Hospital.
The Minister has refused to make this procedure available. So what we have now are doctors having to make that decision themselves because their government has let them down.
The government's policy hasn't changed. There are occasions where it is medically required for a woman's safety. And that is a matter for judgments that are made by doctors.
Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
Investigations are underway into what caused a large caravan fire in Lutana last night. The blaze broke out at around 10 p.m, with the fire engulfing the caravan before spreading to surrounding vehicles and fences. Fire crews worked quickly to save a nearby home, with the fiberglass construction of the caravan fueling the flames. 2 gas cylinders did pose a risk but were safely cooled. The total damage is estimated to be $60,000. Hobart rental prices have hit a record high and are closing in on Melbourne's. The Domain March quarter report finding houses in the state's capital are on average only $10 less a week to rent than those houses in Melbourne. The median Hobart house is now $420 a week to rent. That's more than a 15% increase on prices last year and the biggest growth seen across the country. The new figures come as the state is dealing with a rental shortage crisis. The government this week offering incentives to landlords to rent their properties to low-income earners. The Tasmanian artist behind a new exhibition hopes viewers' minds are filled with stories when they view her works. Landmarks officially opens at the Queen Victoria Art Gallery tomorrow night. It features 38 photographs, mostly of Tasmania's west coast, that look at the area's industrial past.
It started with Mount Lyell which is the most extreme probably one can look at. I do think that it makes us think about where we live, our recent industrial history, and about sustainability.
An art installation was also unveiled in Royal Park today as part of Youth Week. The electrical boxes painted by Launceston College students.
They've obviously worked in with the Aboriginal people and different people in our community to make sure it's pleasing, and it's something they've done a great job, and we're very pleased.
Youth Week Tasmania officially begins tomorrow. Scientists at the University of Tasmania have captured a rare cosmic phenomenon. Using a large radio telescope, they've observed a neutron star 1.5 times the size of the Sun called Vela Pulsar suddenly change how fast it spins. It's an unpredictable event that roughly occurs once every 3 years.
It gives us a better understanding of what's called the equation of state, which is how matter behaves in extreme circumstances.
The Vela Pulsar is located 1,000 light years from Earth. The country's first insurance population of a critically endangered fish has been hatched right here in Tasmania. Beauty Point's Seahorse World is helping breed the rare spotted handfish, so the species isn't lost forever.
These are the tiny creatures that have our scientists excited.
I'd like to eventually have thousands, would be good.
The spotted handfish was listed as critically endangered back in the 90s after dredge fishing and North Pacific sea star affected the population. Today you'll only find the quirky animal in 9 small sites across the east and south of Tasmania. But a Seahorse World and CSIRO project is helping build an insurance population with the aim to restock our waters.
Being a Tasmanian species, we were so excited about doing our bit to help Tasmania.
This is a bit like a Tasmanian tiger of the sea, but we're at a stage where we can do something about conserving this animal for the future.
To begin the project, wild handfish were collected from the Derwent estuary about a year ago and taken to Seahorse World.
Within a week they had spawned, which we were so excited about.
Tanks at the breeding site have been specialised to match the Derwent's conditions. Water temperature is similar, food given to the fish is like what they'd find in the wild, and tank lighting is comparable.
We want the sun to be coming up at the right time and going down, so to speak.
So far, almost 100 spotted handfish have been hatched. 30 will remain on public display at Seahorse World. Then, once they're all big enough, they'll
be reintroduced back into the Derwent. We want to make sure they're robust, they're ready for being reintroduced. So we're looking at probably an 18-month growing period.
And when the next breeding season begins in September, it's hoped many more of these baby handfish will be hatched. Monika Dadson, Southern Cross News.
After an impressive showing against Lauderdale, Glenorchy will have to step up another gear this weekend, taking on TSL powerhouse North Launceston, while Lauderdale will look to avoid a third straight defeat, battling a Blues outfit who will be keen to back up a thumping round 2 win. With the competition unsure what to expect from Glenorchy this season, the Pies had a point to prove against Lauderdale and prove it they did.
We really pride ourselves on our two-way running. And when our most experienced players set the example, you know, that's a great thing for us.
But hopes of backing it up hang on a knife's edge, with the side taking on the competition's strongest midfield in North Launceston. Coach Paul Kennedy putting on a confident front when asked if they can match it.
Do you have the midfield to match the Bombers?
Yeah.
None from 2 so far. Lauderdale defender Josh McGuinness says the side is still a long way from crisis control.
It's definitely not panic stations. Last year, if you can remember, we started 0-3 and we're having the exact same conversation as we're having now.
After losing skipper Bryce Walsh in round 1 for around 10 weeks and with goal magnet Thor Boscott still injured, McGuinness did acknowledge on-field leadership is an issue.
A few younger kids that probably aren't very good with their voice and instruction, I guess, so it sort of forces the rest of us leaders to move into different positions to sort of try and fill those holes.
Lauderdale faced Launceston for the first time since ending their 2017 finals campaign, but Blues coach Sam Lonergan denies his side will use its bigger and more experienced bodies to bully the Bombers' fresh faces.
Certainly not. That's not our aim. We'll go out there and follow our process and make sure that we try and replicate what we did on Saturday.
Lonergan has ruled himself out of the match due to soreness, but with former Devonport coach Mitch Thorpe proving an invaluable get for the club so far, booting 7 majors in the side's 131-point drubbing of the D's, the visitors will still head in favourites.
I'm sure Lauderdale will come out on their home turf and put a pretty good performance on the parks.
To the Tasmanian Netball League, and the Kingston Blues say they won't settle for anything less than a top 4 finish this season, preparing to take on Cripps Waratahs at the Kingborough Sports Centre tomorrow night after getting the better of the side twice last year.
Added some height into our goal circle this year, which is what a lot of the dominant teams have, so we'll be looking to take it to them this year.
We need to make sure that every single game that we play, we're going in to win, and we want to make those finals and finish at least 4th to give us that best opportunity, I think.
Caravan take on the Arrows in Hobart in the league's other round 3 matchup. And in the Seabull, it's shaping up to be a hotly contested interstate grudge match in Launceston on Saturday night, with both the Chargers and the Tornadoes desperate to bounce back from heavy losses to Kilsyth in round 1.
take the scoreboard out of it, I think there's still some positives. Obviously, we're not happy to lose by that much on our home floor and give up over 100 points. But
everybody had new challenges going into the game, playing more minutes, playing a new role, even as myself, playing as a head coach. So it's a learning tool, and we'll move forward.
Import's Kathleen Shear and Britt Smart will play their first match for the Chargers this year, while the Tawns will still be without Michaela Roof and Lauren Mansfield, who are finishing off their seasons in Europe. A Burnie basketballer has made his name in the NBL and will return to the Northwest this weekend. The point guard says his experience in the National League will be put to good use for the Seabulls Tasmanian derby.
Mason Bragg can expect a thunderous reception when he takes to the court in the Northwest. This is where the 6-foot point guard developed his skills, now being seen in the NBL. But for the 24-year-old, there's no place like home.
Yeah, definitely. It was awesome to step off the plane and breathe some fresh Tasmanian air and see some familiar faces.
He's more accustomed to Perth Wildcats fans screaming his name.
And here's Bragg on the layup to get his first points of his career.
The club allowed Bragg to return to Tasmania for the off-season.
I think I'll be able to bring a sense of IQ that I've learnt from the NBL, just being around older and smarter guys in the NBL.
He comes from a strong basketball pedigree.
Bragg knocks down the shot.
Dad Keith was part of the old Northwest Originals, which became part of coastal sporting history after winning the championship in 1996. The clash between the Thunder and the Hobart Chargers will be played here in Devonport on Saturday night. It'll be the first time the city has hosted a Seabull game in nearly a decade. Bragg is set to go up against fellow NBL star Craig Moller in the highly anticipated contest.
It'd be really sweet to come out here and get a win. As long as the boys play hard and we do what Sam says, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Evening, Hobart 15 today, Launceston 21, Burnie and Devonport on 19. Tassie sure felt that cold shift that was expected today. The state's top was still 22 on Flinders Island, 20 at Friendly Beaches, 19 at King Island, Strawn and Smithton, 18 at Lowhead and St Helens, Maria Island on 16, Ooze 14 and Lyell in the middle, still got an 11. The state's low was a 2 at Mount Wellington overnight. We had a lot of rain today statewide, with the highest recorded being 31 mil in Burnie. The satellite shows thick mid-level cloud blanketing the state today. Nationwide, we can see isolated storms that moved into Tasmania from the west, and Victoria covered as well. Low-level cloud over the New South Wales and Queensland coasts. Some cloud moving over the southwest of Western Australia. The remainder of the country, though, was mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, there's a low southeast of Tasmania with a cold front in the Bight and a trough through much of the mainland. A high-pressure system is sitting in the Tasman and another approaching Western Australia. On the water, winds to 30 knots about the north and south, seas up to 2 metres about the west and south. There's a strong wind warning current for all southern, western and northern coastal waters from Tasman Island to St Helens Point. Tomorrow looking good about the south. Hobart and Campania sunny 21, Huonville cloudy 20, Launceston partly cloudy on 19, Devonport and Georgetown late showers expected 19. Burnie also going to get some showers, 19 the top there. Strawn and Wynyard a few showers, 18. And the East Coast not unlucky with the weather for Black Friday. St Helens, Swansea and Port Arthur all looking sunny with 20 all round. The 3-day forecast starting Saturday, possible rain statewide with storms expected during the morning in the north and strong gusty winds also backing up that rain. Sunday, showers and rain tending to the west with more strong gustily winds. Snowfall also expected at 700 metres in the south. And Monday, showers for the west and partly cloudy for the Midlands and the east coast as well. 17 there though for Launceston. Lapping the map tomorrow, Perth cloudy 23, Adelaide a late shower with 24, Melbourne sunny 26 and Sydney pulling out the summer conditions, still sunny with 35. And currently in Hobart, 14 degrees, cloudy, Launceston cloudy as well, 16, Devonport 16, cloudy all round. That's all from me. Thanks, Jo.
Lovely. Thanks so much for that, Candice. That's all from the team for now. Good night.